is time for the weekly closes on our favorite Bitcoin miners. Let's get straight into it with CleanSpark. So you can see here CleanSpark on the weekly. We made a doji this week. Let me turn off all the drawings here so you can see it. Yeah, we made a nice little doji right there. Ended right in the middle there at 978. We came up to the 50-week moving average at 1047. We rejected off of that, which isn't great. So it's showing that price is happy in between the 21-week and the 50-week moving averages. That is 937 and 1047 respectively. So we really need to get above, honestly, 1047 and then 1111. 1111 is really the mark there that we need to get above on CleanSpark here to show that we are ready to go higher. Now, two things that I like, or actually, two things, maybe this third one is okay, that I like about the chart right now on CleanSpark. You can see on the BX trender, we've got 3 weeks in a row where we've got green, growing green momentum on the BX trender. You can see on the RSI, we are above 50 on the weekly. That is also good. You can also see that here on the volume oscillator, we are getting closer and closer to a cross with green volume. We get all of those things, like the RSI continues to charge up, the BX trender continues to charge up, and we get a flip on the volume. Yeah, you better believe we're going to be testing the bottom end of the $15 range here, up there, 15. Maybe we'll get lucky enough to get into 18, and then we'll really see some interesting things out of CleanSpark. Okay, so I like that. Let me turn my drawings back on, and yeah, basically we're in that chop there from before. We really need to get above. I mean, honestly, it's really not going to stop till we're over 18, $19 consistently for CleanSpark before we're really seeing an end to this issue here, that we've been stuck in all this chop. Now, one thing I like is this ascending channel. If this breaks to the downside, as long as it holds above $8, I'm feeling pretty good for CleanSpark. But if it breaks below $8, I'll be starting to feel a bit nervous, a bit worried about it. This white line is like my ultimate bottom. Like if it goes beneath this white line, I'm basically just going to say I'm done with CleanSpark. I'm not interested any longer. Let's take a look at the warrants really quickly. I do like this hammer on the weekly. Look at this hammer candle on the weekly. I like that. I like that it held up. What I really want to see is get above 26 cents, and then I'll be feeling pretty good about it moving up to the 21 week, which is at 46 cents right now. And then from there, if we can cross that, be looking at it trying to go between 60 and 80 cents after that. So we're watching that pretty closely. If that credit downgrade that the U.S. got on Friday after the close doesn't impact us too harshly, then I'd expect to see these things go up. Otherwise, we could see a couple of weeks of downside before we come out of that in June for a summer run. So we could be getting slapped down right now by that. So keep that in mind. There was that credit downgrade on the U.S. which caused stocks to tumble after hours on Friday. If that continues just like it did last time when we got it in August 2023, we saw a 10% decline in the SPY, which was a significantly higher decline in high beta stocks like Bitcoin miners before coming out of that 2 weeks later. So we're watching that closely. The next 2 weeks could potentially be really rough on us, or flat if we're lucky. All right, anyways, Mara needs to get above 1678. All right, 1678 where the 50 and 200 hold. If it gets above 1678, we are going to go to $20 very, very, very quickly. If we lose this ascending channel here, we got the 9-week moving average down there at 1464. If we lose 1464, well, then we could come as low as $12 before seeing ourselves recover from that again. Now, just like with CleanSpark, the BX trender has 2 increasing green bars there. That's very, very good. That's very positive. We're above 50 on the RSI. That is also positive. You can see on the volume oscillator, all that needs to do is cross, and we are in green volume there, which could send us again into the 20s, maybe even high 20s, potentially low to high 20s here on that. And on the low end, $12 for Mara. Let's take a look at, not Riot, but Iren. Iren's got a really good chart. This chart looks like it's trying to break out. Now, we did hit the 50-week and rejected immediately off of it, but we stayed above the 21-week at $8.21. That's a good sign. So we get above 858. I'd be looking at Iren to try to make a move up to about $10 or $11, maybe even as high as $12. To the downside, 821. I'm watching 821 for an invalidation of the move here, because that would say if we lose the 21 week moving average, we could fall quickly down to the 9, which is at $7.26. If we were to lose $7.26, which would be that next support level, I'd expect us to come to this orange line, this orange trend line I've got drawn here, which next week, if we were to hit it next week, it'd be very dramatic. But if we were to hit it, that would be $6.11. So what we did was we had this descending wedge, and we broke out of it with force. That's what you want to see. Now we're looking for some sort of bullish formation here at the top of this move, right? Like a flag or a slight pullback, And then from there, I want to see it rip to the top of this channel, which would be around $10, maybe even as high as $11 or $12. That's what we're looking for. This is done, so I can delete that one. Yes, this one is also done, so I can delete that one. I'm going to leave the wedge on here so we know where we came from. And I'm going to leave this trend down here at the bottom of the move here to know where we could bounce off of if we were to lose momentum here. You can see that the BX trender is working towards getting a green bar. The RSI is at 49. It's so close to going bullish in the 50s. And the volume is looking like it's trying to get that cross. So everything is looking like it's set up for Iren to potentially get back up to $11, $12. If we can cross 12 bucks, maybe we can even go back up to 15 or 16 real fast in a hurry there on Iren. And then I would reassess from there. Let's take a look at Riot. Of course, nothing I say is financial advice and not a suggestion of buy, sell, or hold any asset whatsoever. Please do your own research, come to your own conclusions, and be responsible for your own risk. All right, let's take a look here. And Riot closed above the 21-week moving average at $9.08. It closed at $9.15, but the 21 was at $9.08. $9.84 is the 50-week, which once we crack that, we could come up to about $11.69 before we hit the 200-week. Now, it does tend to slice through the 200-week, hit the top of this descending channel up here, and then fall, and then immediately roll right over. So I'm looking at about 13.29 is that like that danger zone for Riot. If it is to shoot up, like that 1320 to 1330 area is where I'd be looking for to reverse and come back down at least to test the 200 from above, potentially even go past it. You notice it generally kind of flies right up and above, like above and below that line. So I wouldn't expect a lot of resistance at that line, to be honest, because every single time it's met it, it's just sliced right through it, except back here in April 2023. Every other time, though, it's just sliced right through it in both directions, settling above or below it on both times. So right now, the BX trender looks like it's trying to get to a good zone. The RSI, it's basically looking exactly like Iren right now, except Iren had a more of a bullish, explosive outward move than Riot did. All right, let's take a look at Bitdigital. Bitdigital had a pretty sick move on Friday here. You can see it also had a falling wedge that I had drawn on here, and it broke out of that. And we had 2 weeks to buy, and then it broke out. Now, it could go higher than this. It could absolutely go higher than this. I wouldn't be surprised to see it hit like $3 or so. But this one is heavily tied to Ethereum, and Ethereum keeps on disappointing. Now, Ethereum, if it is to break out and Ethereum is to make new highs, you better believe that Bitdigital is going to come to at least the 200-week moving average at $3.51. Right now, we still need to get above 257 and 287 before we have a chance for 351. All right, you can see that the BX trender is making higher lows. It's making higher lows, and the volume is looking like it's trying to get to that crossing section where it will have an explosive move up. RSI hasn't quite recovered yet, but a lot of other things are looking like they're moving in the right direction. You see they got earnings. Most miners reported earnings already for Q1, and most of them were pretty atrocious, except for Corz Scientific. Corz Scientific did really well. We'll talk about that. But yeah, right now, I'll draw this. Here, I'll draw a ray right here. Basically, this is that hard invalidation. If it breaks that, like I would draw this, lock it down, put an alert, and then I'd put on crossing down. I'd change this to crossing down, and just once, and I'd put the message just stop loss right there. I'd do that, and then I'd make it not on the 1 week. I'll just have it crossing once. Normally, I should have gone into a lower time frame. Like I'd go into like a 4 hour or something, and I'd put it on bar close. But just for the sake of time, I'm just doing the when it crosses. So if it crosses that line, I'd watch it. If it closes beneath it, then I'd be saying, yeah, that's done. That's done for. And I do that on pretty much any of them right now. So we're looking at it. It wants to stay above this line. As long as it can stay above this line, we have a chance at going up to 350. If it cracks this line and goes below, then we're coming back to the lows. That's all I got to say about that. Take a look at Bitfarms. Bitfarms has 2 green weeks on the BX trender. That's pretty good. It's got this solid up channel. It's looking strong. For once, it's finally looking strong. Now, institutions have not really been returning to this thing yet, so I'm still not in it, and I'm not interested in getting in it. But if you're in it or interested in being in it, it's definitely looking pretty good right now. So let me lock this down. And yeah, this, as long as it's above this yellow dotted line right here, as long as it's above that line, I'm feeling it's pretty good. It's a pretty good buy. If it goes beneath that line, I would expect it to come back down to about 85 to 84 cents. But as long as it's above that line, yeah, it's going to drive higher and just bounce off of it, drive higher, a lot like every time on the way down. it bounced off of this line and went lower, right? This line here, it bounced off and went lower every single time until it finally cracked it. This time it's going to be this line on the way up, this dotted line. It's going to bounce on this every time, and once it cracks it, if it cracks it, well, then you better believe it's going to go even lower, okay? As long as it's bouncing above this, though, it's going to keep driving higher, potentially going all the way up to maybe even $2. But I am looking at 171 as like that area where I'm going to see a hard turnaround, potentially, especially if we get like a really strong up move over 1 week or 2 weeks. And hits 170 in like a real quick succession, I would expect it to roll over from there. That's what I'm watching right now for it. But you know, the technicals look good. Not enough institutional buying for me to get interested, or for me to believe it could go any higher than that 200 week moving average at 193. But I'm really eyeing 171 as an area where I think it's really going to roll over. But we'll see when it gets there. This one I'm just watching right now. I have no interest in it whatsoever. Cifr on Friday went up 21.77%. That was pretty good. Now, it's not back yet. Like you can see now we've been getting higher lows consistently for weeks now on the BX trender. The volume oscillator has been, you know, doing the same, getting lower sell volume for weeks now. The RSI is at 48, almost 49, trying to tap on that 50. So and it did cross above the 21-week moving average on Friday and close above it. That's pretty good. We do have 417, which is the 50-week moving average. That's going to be a bit of a challenge. And there is a lot, if you look to the left here, there is a lot of resistance at that area, at that right at that 50-week moving average at 417. Quite a lot of resistance to get through. So it will be tough to get there. And then as soon as we get through that 467, we got the 200-week moving average. That again is going to be it's going to contest price action at that level. I would like to see it get back into this channel up here, and I am also watching this downward trend line right here as well up here. Which if next week that would be at 588. I'm watching that real close for Cifr as an area where I would say, yeah, I think it's going to go down. And on the warrants, full disclosure, I did have some warrants. I bought them up at about 26 cents, and I sold them at 48 cents. It's now at 58 cents, so it went a little higher than I sold. I sold it on Friday early in the day around, like, you know, when it was hitting the 9-week moving average. Yeah, just beneath the 9-week moving average, because I was expecting something like this to happen, because it looked like this, and then a bear flag, and then boom, further down. That's kind of what I was thinking. So I said, you know what, I've pretty much doubled up that position. I'm going to close it out. And obviously, that doesn't look like the right decision right now, but we'll see. We'll see what that comes out to later on Cifr. All right, let's take a look at Corz. Corz was one that had good earnings. They had good earnings just the other day. They beat they missed on revenue by 7.74%, but they beat on earnings per share by 1,170%. That's pretty cool. So Corz did really well, and since then they've been taking off like a rocket. I also closed my Corz warrants. Again, I was up about 30-ish% or so. I let go of those to get into some different positions. I don't regret it, but I could have made more money, and that's okay. It looks like Corz is on based on where it's closed right here. You can see it closed above a lot of this resistance on the left here. Close above a lot of that resistance on the left there. A lot of it, not all of it. It really needs to get above 1097 for me to say, yeah, it's free and clear to move up quickly to about $13, $14. So it's within pennies of being clear to move about $3, $4, which would be about a 30, or not a 30, like a 20-something% move from its current position. And of course, it might overshoot that and find its way up to like $14 or $15, maybe even all the way up to about 15.34 there before hitting any significant resistance. So Corz looking really, really strong. And again, just like on the way down, on the way up, as long as it respects this yellow dotted line on the way up, I think it will just continue to do that, right? I think that's what it's going to do. And as soon as it breaks that, I think we could come down back to about $8 on Corz, and then find a home there to make a base and go even higher. Maybe sometime around June we might do that. Okay, watching that real close. All right, let's take a look at Wulf. Wulf looking pretty good here. We're making higher lows for a while on BX Trender. The oscillators for the volume is looking good, and the RSI is looking like it's just ready to flip bullish. Now we got to cross the 50-week and 200-week moving averages at 415 and 497 respectively. Once we do that, well, then we've got room up higher. Now, issue with the 200 is we got that resistance right in there, like those couple of bars here, and then if we go over here, back here, these couple of bars back there, that will be resistance on the way up. That's not the best. So there will be some resistance over the 200-week moving average, and we got to chew through basically everything from where we currently are all the way up to that point, and then we're free and clear after 645. So I would be watching this pretty close for that. And again, same thing. I draw a trend line down here. So on this one actually has two. So you can see here it has that trend line. That's trend line number 1. And this one is trend line number 2. Let me get it perfect. And that's trend line number 2. So if we break this yellow dotted line, we'll come down to this one. Let me go ahead and make this one like red or something. If we break that yellow one, we'll come down to the red one, and that will be ultimate. Like if it crosses that, it's going to go way lower sort of scenario. And that's how I would do Wulf, and that's how I'm watching Wulf. I'm not in Wulf, full disclosure, not in Wulf. Don't plan on being in Wulf, but it's there. You can see Hut is starting to really take off. Look at this. This one, 52 on the R side. Yeah, this is probably going to flip green next week, assuming that downgrade doesn't ruin it. But look at this trend line right here, and then we got number 2. Actually, we're on number 3. We got number 2 about right there, and number 3 right here. Let me draw it. And number 3 right there. So basically, we break number 3, we come down to number 2. That's our support. If it doesn't hold, we're going to hit number 3. If we hit number 3 and lose number 3, we're going all the way back to the bottom. So watch that real close. Now, right here where Hut is, there's nothing in the way of it. Like, there's really very little in the way of it. This could easily find its way up to $21, $22, hit this trend line up here at the top, and that might be where it rolls over. And if it doesn't roll over there, we're going back up to the highs around $27 to $33 on Hut. So watch that one real close. That one's actually doing a legitimate breakout. Hut is the only one doing like a significant breakout above all the lines that it needs to break above, and then making that third angle of attack straight up. Okay, let's take a look at Hive. Hive is still on its first angle. Still on its first angle right here. You can see that. Boom. It's still on angle 1. So if we lose that angle 1, it's just going to come back to lows and fall flat. Maybe make a double bottom and then try again. But we're on angle 1. So usually these things like to do 3 angles of attack. We got angle 1. And then angle 2 often looks something like not too different from angle 1, but maybe something like that, right? And then angle 3 is usually like straight up, like it's like like a parabola, right? Starts doing that parabolic move. That's generally what you tend to see, and I'll leave that on there, see if that's what happens on this one. But that's usually the trajectory. We got angle 1 is kind of easy going. Institutions are buying up. And then we start getting like hedgies buying up, hedge funds buying up for that angle 2, and then retail kicks in and it goes into overdrive up to the peak. And then once it hits that peak, it just drops right off a cliff. So we'll watch for that right there. Hive made a green on the weekly. The volume oscillators look like it's ready to flip. It's at 44 on the RSI, so that's got to get a little bit higher. Above it, it's got 222 above it resistance. Okay, not significant resistance though. Significant resistance for Hive is up at 283. About 283, yeah, about 280, 283 up there. If we break this line here at next week, it will be 187. If we go beneath 187, yeah, we're going to come back down to about 135. But if we can crack 222, we can go up to 273 pretty easily, and then up to like we got resistance all the way up to about 338. Once we crack 338, well, then we got room all the way up to the 200-week moving average at 414 for Hive. Let's take a look at Can real quick. Can, it's barely doing anything. Can, I'm staying away from this. This thing is super flat. Like, this is grossly flat right there. I really would want to see it close a candle. Honestly, I'd really want to see it close a candle above $1.10 before I'm even like remotely interested. And even then, the 50-week is looming up ahead at 137. So I'd really want to see this one get above the 50-week moving average before I have any interest in it whatsoever. Just because this is so flat. When Hut is already on its third angle of attack. Many others are on their second angle of attack. This one's still going flat. I don't like that. So this one's probably going to be a laggard. Like after all the others run, this one might run, and that's fine. And if it does, it'll have to clear easily minimum 114 to have even a chance. And then after that, you got all this other resistance kind of going all the way up to about $2. So Can really has a lot to fight through and slog through before it's got a chance. The X trender is going the right way. Volume oscillator is going the right way. The RSI is telling the whole story, though. It's barely ticking up. So, yeah, I'm not interested in Can at all here. Like, it had its nice run. It's nice meteoric run. And you can see just like back here, right? It's super duper flat and then meteoric rise, which came, honestly, later than a lot of the others. So this one's going to be a laggard. I think this one, if you're in it or want to get in it, you probably have time. Let's take a look at Btdr. Btdr, I mentioned this one last week. I said this one was going to be a winner, and guess what? It was a winner. We had 7% up this week. This is a wicked tail on this thing, like a comet flying up. This one looks like it's ready to be a rocket. We had that falling wedge there, and we broke out of that 3 weeks in a row. This 4th week, they tried to sell it off, could not. It's staying above all the moving averages. We got a green on the BX trender. We're so close to flipping green on the volume oscillator, and we're at 57 on the RSI. This one is fully in bull territory now. It's likely going to run up to at least $18, $19, maybe even run for the high on Btdr. I like Btdr right now. I do have some calls on Btdr, not as many as I'd like to have, but I got a few calls on Btdr, looking for that to run up into the 20s, and then I'll probably offload it here from there. You can also see this one was also beat earnings in both ways. It was profitable on earnings per share, and it made more revenue than expected. That is really great for Btdr, and it has been just taken off since. So yeah, hopefully that's going to continue on. Anyways, that's all I've got for you today. Please like, comment, subscribe, share this video. Check out the Trade Cave store, link in the description, as well as the channel bio. If you're tired of the day-to-day news, all the bad news cycles coming through, go ahead and check out some financial stories, just some fun historical financial stories, mostly about controversy and scandal over on Capital Curiosities. I've been finding their videos very interesting whenever you're interested in just like story time sort of stuff going on, still within the financial realm. Anyways, that's all I got. Have a profitable day.